What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Axe the tax. What does that mean? We need to pay less taxes. B, we need to fix the budget. I think that's pretty clear. C, we need to build the homes. And D, we need security and safety. So please, listen to me carefully. I want to send you this message. I am the candidate.
Wow. Neil Oberman, he is the candidate for the Conservatives. He was announced last night, introduced by Pierre Poilievre at a rally. James MENNIE is on the line. Jim, you close your eyes for a second. You think you might have been listening to Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah, it is kind of singing from the same choir book, right? And I like the one sentence approach to various concepts like we'll build the houses. I want a few details on that before we. And I'm just saying we're going to build the houses. But yeah, and it was kind of funny because I think we're paying a lot of attention this week, and so we should, to Mr. Poilievre's foray into Quebec, his RV tour, his getting to know you tour. And I heard you speaking with our CTV correspondent earlier in the show about what's going to happen, or the by-election in Toronto St. Paul's on Monday night. And I have to tell you, there is a lot of focus, and justifiably so, that this is a test for Justin Trudeau, that this is a test for his leadership. And indeed, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, there was a great analysis today by Radio-Canada about how the Liberals are dealing with their present situation. And I think the headline on that analysis said it all, basically quoting someone saying, it's too late to change leaders. But all that said, despite all the pressure on Monday on Trudeau, I think this is also a major test for Pierre Poilievre. And, given the lopsided victories the Liberals have won in that riding, if the Conservatives don't manage to whittle down the ratio of the margin of victory for the Liberals, and by that I mean if they don't manage to do better than get beaten by, say, a margin of 2-1 or even 1.5-1, I would say that is going to shake a lot of the assumptions we've had about M. Poilievre and his party from day one. There has been, and I was thinking about this. I was listening to you talk yesterday, talking about Pierre Poilievre and, what's he going to do for you. And I'm wondering how much of this is chicken and egg, right? Because there's no denying, there's a huge poll lead for the Conservatives, 20 points, which it seems quite insurmountable. But if you look at it, how much of that is basically created by people presuming he's already in the lead, so let's throw in with him because there's no way this guy is going to lose. And how much of that would survive perhaps a reality check with a by-election, say, in Toronto, in Ontario, where, elections are won, even if the Liberals hold firm, if the Liberals keep that margin of victory, even though both parties are running relatively unknown candidates, it's going to be a huge test for Pierre Poilievre. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to overshadow whatever happens here in Quebec. Quebec, you win majorities. In Ontario, you win majorities. In Quebec, you win governments. But I got to tell you, Monday night, I think is going to be a real litmus test, yes, for Justin Trudeau, but equally for Pierre Poilievre. And it'll be interesting to see how he or his entourage spins whatever happens on Monday night.
As I hear you say that, I can't help but think back to the first time Donald Trump ran. And I remember the polls at the beginning showing it wasn't even going to be close. And then they explained that away by saying a lot of people who were going to vote for him simply chose to either lie or somehow not get counted. So it seemed there were fewer people who were going to vote for him than actually did, of course, when it came to Election Day. I wonder if in the case of Pierre Poilievre, to your point, Jim, people look at him, they say, well, he's the front runner, I'll park my vote there today. As you're suggesting, what does that mean down the road? So if this Toronto by-election, and remember, we're still roughly, whatever it is, 6 months, 9 months, a year away, right? How does that really set a trend, a precedent, do you think? Does that mean a lot?
If I was one of Mr. Poilievre's strategists, the biggest concern I would have, the issue that would be keeping me awake at night is how long can you keep people angry? Because that's easier said than done. People are angry. You can have one sentence policy positions. You can make it simple, make things rhyme, have a jingle, play on that. It's not my fault. In fact, and once again, to this great Radio-Canada analysis, one Liberal MP is quoted as saying, Justin Trudeau could jump into a river to save 2 kids from being eaten by crocodiles, and by the time they got to shore, people would be saying it's his fault. So this is It's an artificial situation. I have lots of problems with Justin Trudeau, and I've mentioned them repeatedly on air. But the fact is, we are not dealing with real, quantifiable pros and cons here. It's just with Mr. Poilievre, it's simple sloganeering, which I'm not really sure. I know it worked in the States. I'm not entirely sure it is going to take, even despite the poll results that we're seeing. Yeah. All that said, the other thing that's really, it's funny, for Poilievre and Trudeau, each is the other's greatest ally. Disaffection with Justin Trudeau is playing right into Pierre Poilievre's hands, and concerns over who exactly Pierre Poilievre is, I think, is keeping a lot of people from expressing themselves. And if that uncertainty is not sufficiently erased by Election Day, I think what the polls are saying now, it's not going to matter.
So, we talk about, let's kind of go back to what the situation is here in terms of municipally, right? We have talked an awful lot lately, it seems, over the past couple of weeks. Maybe Grand Prix at Terrasgate sort of kicked us up to the next level about Valérie Plante. A lot of people very unhappy. I know she was at was it a luncheon yesterday, Jim, at the Chamber of Commerce? There are a lot of people, even in the business community, apparently not thrilled with the way things are going in the city. So we heard Michel Leblanc's name mentioned in the past as a potential, and we know that this administration actually had floated his name to see what kind of support there might be for him. Are you hearing more?
Well, listen, he's not saying no. He's being asked point blank. He kind of grilled Madame la Mairesse during that get-together with the Chambre de Commerce. He has said he has repeated there are real concerns on the part of the business community. He says, I also want to be an optimist, but now I'm hearing people who are really getting scared. He's suggesting as well, or he's heard reports that the city was not necessarily as clean as it could have been during F1. That things were were not the same, and it's like everything is heading towards a tipping point. That if we don't do something soon, it's going to be too late to change things. And one thing, and it's not on my list, and I don't mean to drop it on you, but I don't know if you saw our story about this Cavendish coalition. This unprecedented get-together of federal Liberal MPs from Montreal, Quebec Liberal MNAs from Montreal, the Mayor of Côte-Saint-Luc, PMR, basically calling upon Ottawa and Quebec to pull the plug on the Plante administration's Blue Box development unless they first extend Cavendish. I can tell you, Aaron, I've been doing this a long time. I have never seen, I'm trying to find a good word, an intervention or indeed a mutiny like this. But this is unheard of for different municipalities and different levels of government to turn around, do an end run around the mayor of the second largest city in Canada and say either she extends that boulevard or you guys have got to pull the plug on this because what's going on right now doesn't make any sense. This, as far as I'm concerned, is a massive vote of non-confidence in Madame Plante.
So we had Dita Burku on because she's part of this Cavendish caucus, if you will. And my question to her at the end of it all, because we've been talking about this on and off for so long, beyond all these people involved, and you're right, we've never seen sort of federal, provincial, there are Liberal MNAs and Liberal MPs involved in this. She talked to Sean Fraser, rather. But the question at the end of the day, Jim, is how much sway do they actually carry in this eventual decision?
I think when you see that many disparate political entities lined up with a single goal, and that goal is in opposition to one politician in City Hall, I don't think it matters if anything actually happens per se. I think the scene has been set with Valérie Plante having to look around and say one of the centerpieces of my housing policy is being called into question by virtually every politician on the island of Montreal because of the way that I'm handling it. And I'm not entirely sure how the Legault government will react because they change from one day to the next. From the Trudeau Liberals, though, I think it's a different issue. I think if they know there is a desire for that boulevard to be extended, they know there is a lot of resentment towards the Plante administration for all of its other policies, they may turn around and say, listen, because all it's going to take is one level of government, right? Because the feds are in there too in terms of funding. Yeah. If they pull the plug, everything goes on hold. So I think this is a very, very interesting development that I think says absolutely more right now about Valerie Plante's position in the political spectrum on the island of Montreal and in Quebec than it does about the Cavendish expansion. But I tell you, this is a lousy surprise to go into a holiday weekend with, and to go into a summer, which I keep telling you is going to be as politically active as any other time of year that we've ever seen.
Okay, well, there's something to look forward to, or perhaps not. So that's interesting. I will point out, Jim, with respect to the federal involvement, and I only bring this up because when I spoke to Andrew Lutfi, he made this point as a developer. The federal money in this, which is $2 million lately, is for a feasibility study. It's not for a shovel in the ground of any kind. It's just, hey, let's draw up yet another plan for what you imagine this is going to look like. So that, to me, that's lunch money. That's not a significant federal commitment here.
Well, it's not a significant federal commitment, but on the other side, if you have a headline that says, feds back out of Blue Bonnet plan, even sort of the tune of $2 million, those are not good optics for a housing development, the success of which is going to depend on good optics.
Fair enough. All right, Jim, I thank you. I was going to say have a good weekend, but you're here tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Because tomorrow's only Friday.
Yes.
I don't know why I thought that. Jim, thank you.
That's fine.